Hello and welcome to The Forgotten, where we wade the mental mire and poke and prod at those that have been gurgled to the open. It's another one of those games that rears its head in my mind time and time again. It's the 2005 reboot of Altered Beast. Developed and published by Sega and released in early 2005. Altered Beast 2005 is a reboot of the 1988 arcade original. As you may expect, it is also a beat-em-up. However, in the third dimension. If you're not expecting it, then you're probably not familiar with Altered Beast 1988. I was going to go for a quick summary, but then and now time. Trust me, it won't take long. It's time for Known Then and Forgotten Now. Ha! Wordplay. No time to wait, let's just go, which is more appropriate than you might think.
Rise from your grave.
And that's the first notable thing in Altered Beast. Altered Beast was developed and published by Sega and originally released in 1988 for arcades and was later ported to numerous consoles from 1989 onwards. One of which we are looking at now, for the Mega Gen Drive. And that's the second notable thing in Altered Beast. Altered Beast is a side-scrolling beat-em-up with extra emphasis on side-scrolling. By that I mean, it's an auto-scroller. Though financially successful, Altered Beast was not a critical darling, receiving many middling reviews. Regardless of thoughts on its quality, it's remembered directly or indirectly for and the like. And with that, the groundwork has been set. And would you look at that, a third white two-headed wolf and an ashen flasher. And that's the third notable thing in Altered Beast. Ready for the fourth?
Welcome to your doom.
There you go. You've now seen every unique, memorable aspect of Altered Beast. Wolfman! Looks alright, a little plain. The projectile deals less damage than ideal, the dash is fast, more damaging, and air ready. It's solid. A floating head sucks our balls out, and we jump into a hole. Oh, someone's got a new stick. And a captive audience to show it to. Stage 2, what do? Same as before, but moister. Speaking of same as before, gameplay. As a game of Mega Gen Drive origin, Altered Beast is a 3-button game. Attack 1, Attack 2, Jump. Attacks 1 and 2 vary depending on your form, whilst human Attack 1 is punch and 2 is kick. As a beast, typically Attack 1 is a projectile and 2 is a movement-based attack. Typically. The beast of this stage's second attack is an AoE attack, and the first attack of the beast on the next stage is a stumpy mess. You'll see. As for how it all plays out, there's nothing clever for you to do, just hit them first. Whilst all natural, you'll likely use the standing kick as it has the most range, and when you're looking all brawler jack brawler, the crouch punch will go as far as the standing kick, but with substantially less recovery. It's as shallow as it seems. It's functional. I can't be any more positive nor negative than that. Dragon! Again, visually fine. Attack-wise, the projectile is pointless. When the confined play space and unending flight are paired, there's no reason to do anything other than spam the AoE attack. It's quite possibly the most powerful form. I love that they had to make the dragon stand on his hind legs. Doesn't look dumb at all. Unhinged perfumer takes woman captive. Stage 3, Enemy! A visually very tactically trite assortment of arseholes, the embodiment of the bare minimum. They move towards you and if happenstance wills it, attack. Overly enthusiastic or perhaps apathetic as they unflinchingly, uncaringly cast themselves to deathly depths unknown. If the floweriness doesn't tip my hand, then I shall be blunt. Outside of one enemy type that floats above and attacks when in range, thereby requiring the player to goad the enemy into attacking before moving aside. There's nothing to talk about when it comes to your opposition. Bosses? They have 1 or 2 attacks and they'll repeat them till death. If you haven't gathered, if you're coming to Altered Beast for an interesting time, you will be rather disappointed. I'm a bear now. And this is the attack that I was alluding to earlier. The bear emits this thing and bends over, leaving the object in the air with a cutout for its face or something. I don't know, it's dumb. Anyway, for a third time, welcome to my doom.
Welcome to your doom.
Do you know how to beat it? It's not this stupid bubble, I'll tell you that. You just Sonic its ass. If you time your jump correctly, you can stay inside, out of harm's way, and constantly deal damage. Otherwise, you get out. Bear. It's a bear. It goes brr. And this jump attack hurts you with its sharp hair. Probably the worst form. Kind of adorable though. Bird. Stage 4. God, there's more. So how does the game work as a whole? Boringly. The auto-scroll sets the pace, literally and figuratively. It moves at a snail's pace and enemies just appear. I was going to say that there was no dynamism in the scroll, but that's not true. Sometimes it goes slower. My guess being if you don't kill the enemies in time. Combat encounters, well, we've established they're one-track mind, so encounters tend to be you standing still and timing your attack. If things go awry, you can get knocked into a group, where you'll proceed to get about until the game finds an open space, taking damage as you do. It's as great as it sounds. Have you noted the brevity of the levels? They can actually go on for longer. If you arrive at the purple-clad Pullock, more man than beast, then the level continues on. On the third encounter, you must fight, be you extra hairy, scaly or not. It's an interesting idea, making the game in such a way that if you're good enough, you can avoid playing more of it. Rare. This is possibly the most interesting boss fight in the game. It's also the longest. So let's speed this up a bit, shall we? Tiger Man! It's the Wolfman body, but with a tiger head. The form that was built purely for Stage 4's boss, with its dumb wavy path and vertical dash. Stage 4 is its kingdom. Everywhere else, it's graveyard. Haha! Bird! Maybe this is all a misunderstanding. For all we know, she's an avian and this is her dream come true. You never know. I don't know the plot. Stage 5, still alive. Physically. Mentally, it's questionable. It's the final stage. And there's nothing more to say. Everything's been covered. Would you like to hear the game over music? Yeah. Ooh, final form. What's her last beastie going to be? Well, that's a letdown. At least they recolored it. That's something. We are welcomed for the last time.
Welcome to your doom.
And it's here where the walls fall off and get pelted to another continent. It is a goddamn shit show of a final boss. Why? 1. The boss itself. It's big. Its attacks are big and it deals big damage. If you're knocked down, it has the habit to attack at what feels like frame 1. 2. The play space is small and also a lie. Given the size of the boss and the distance on its attacks, avoidance is like trying to dodge a head-on bus by taking a step to the side. As for the lie part, see all the screen space? You can't use it. This is what you can use. Move too far to the left and you are forced into a walk to the right with no control. And as best as I can tell, you can get hit during this dim-witted saunter. This is a detail that is present throughout the whole game, it just doesn't really make itself known until the final boss. Tactics? Pointless. You leave far too much up to chance. Try to air dash, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Try to dash through them, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Do you know what you should do? Any idea? Altered Beast. With this disaster behind us, the lady turned birdie emerges from the hole. Yes, Purple Plonker is dead. We don't fight him directly nor see him die directly. She lands and turns back into a human. Whilst devastated that her dream has been taken from her, she puts on a brave face as it turns out. We are now stuck as a wolf. A bittersweet ending, to be sure. Right, back to 2005. Something to note about Altered Beast 2005 release schedule: it first released in Japan in January, Europe in February, North America never. Why? Well, according to Adam Jarvis of Video Gamer's review of the reboot, Altered Beast, a game that is clearly good enough for us Europeans, but not the North Americans. This is because Sega recently undertook a quality review of the titles they will release in North America in the future, and Beast didn't make the cut. But how bad are we talking here? Right from the game. Not bad. Well, I've covered worse. I have never touched Altered Beast 2005, but have thought about it over the years. Granted, only for a fleeting moment, but that's more than many games get. My two memories of this game, and thus expectations, are grey, generic nothing of a protagonist. Will Altered Beast 2005 meet my lofty expectations? Yes. It's a game from 2005. Worlds of grey and nothing protagonists were in full swing at this point. But who knows what can happen. In the end, we may reflect on this time more positively than when we set out. The odds aren't good, but it can happen. Huh? Very quiet. Wasn't anticipating a menu that you could hear a pin drop. Huh. Thanks for that. I guess the composer just forgot to compose a menu theme.
Secretary of State Ramirez has issued a statement that the military has quarantined Forest City for safety precautions. Ramirez has also denied that the strange mist surrounding the area is toxic, citing general panic as the source of this rumor. Sarah Goldberg reporting.
And there's your plot for the rest of the game.
Listen to this guy. Why isn't he flying over this place then? Jeez, you said it. Still, what the hell are we doing out here? And what the hell is in that damn box? They got us flying over toxic freaking fumes. And for what? Emergency pizza delivery.
Thank you, exposition man.
Huh? What the hell was that?
Oh, it's the monster from the start of Alone in the Dark, the New Nightmare. We finally got to see it. It only took an extra 6 years, a different company, but we got to see him in the end. God, we're lucky we landed this way, or it would have been a very short game. Or perhaps we're unfortunate that it landed this way, and it could have been a very short game. So this is our protagonist. It's like Brain Fury and Go Hinogami had a baby with negative charisma. The hell happened here? A branch, apparently. Wait. Syndicate aside, you put the sign up backwards, you daft tits. Also, you didn't cut off the excess.
Genome chip. Huh?
He's buried by an original Xbox. Quick, check his capacity. What the hell's going on? That was fucking horrifying. Oh dear. The werewolf is the all-rounder and your go-to form. It's quick, does good damage, has sweeping attacks, and even an anti-air. Along the upgrade way, you will find the answer to all possibilities on the triangle spokes. And on the X spokes, the same move over and over. I can't help but feel that they may have went for visuals first on this one. Outside of some mandatory moments, there's really no reason to use any other beast than a werewolf. Crowd control, block breaking. The end of the werewolf's mash string, having both crowd control and block breaking at the same time, and as previously mentioned, the anti-air attack. Sure, the anti-air feels absolutely awful, but it has it. And that versatility will pretty much shunt aside all other forms for the game's duration. Ah, he's all tuckered out. And where did you come from?
The beast is taking over your mind. You're going to die unless we do something.
Yep, just hover it over him, and I'll do the rest.
Who are you?
You don't remember?
Fantastic!
Don't worry, it's
An
just a
amnesia plot.
tranquilizer. Transformation puts quite a bit of stress on your cerebral cortex.
Apparently not his trousers
That's
though.
the human part of your brain. I don't suppose you would have the chips with you like you're supposed to. Though, I doubt that in your current state you even know what I'm talking about.
What are you looking at? Where are you walking? You going back to your art gallery in Greenfield?
Damn.
Just what Altered Beast needed. Dumb explanations for the transformations. I was fucking desperate before. I don't know if you can make this more jank looking if you tried. Also, he's got mechanisms inside him and tranquilizers for transforming. But how is it all powered? Spirit energy that he slurps off the ground. Can absorb directly. Alright, so we can maintain some dignity. I retract my previous statement. Just straight from the crotch. They had to have realized. Oh, it's spent. Alright, moving on. So she just managed it just fine, but I'm stuck here like an asshole. Every time, huh? Oh, there we go. Push. You know, I was thinking it back at the start, but now I'll say it. This game doesn't feel good. Let's start from the top. Altered Beast 2005 is controlled in a straightforward manner. You twiddle your sticks to move and look as expected. Square is your masher, triangle is a juice sucker when human and when altered, and metered special or combo enter. X is a jump, an alternate combo enter, or more, again depending on form. Circle is for selecting your desired body horror. L1 snaps the camera behind, and R1 will show the map of the uninteresting den that you currently preside. So, crucially, how does it feel? To move? Fine. Mostly. It's responsive and has a nice speed. The problem is that the desire for precision is that of a fool's. A graceful glide provides a glacial promise, but the slightest of errors snatches it away. The camera acceleration is too damn slow, which means that you will be relying on the snap to back camera order, especially in combat encounters, if you are so needy that you would like to view your foes instead of being poked and prodded from off screen. Now, how does it feel to fight? Bad! Quite bad. Unfortunately bad, since that will be the thing that you will be doing most of, outside of walking and looking anyway. Stiff, slow, awkward, mushy, clumsy, ineffective, these things and more have been described, and the same can be said for Altered Beast 2005. In combat, you'll primarily be mashing square. This isn't a light and heavy attack situation. Square is, for all intents and purposes, the attack button, the base of everything. Triangle and X are your one-offs and mash enders. Masher is, unfortunately, a multifaceted title for your primary attack, as it feels imprecise and clumsy. Through a mixture of input stacking, the animations, and associated recovery times. Attack inputs are taken as the button presses arrive, meaning you are stuck playing out whatever you mash during the tedium and don't have much in the way of adaptability. No, there are no means to cancel an attack. I should also note that if you wish to time your next attack to the prior's conclusion, you can't. Along with this, the attacks animate with sloth-like ambition, leading to stacked attacks being executed long after button presses, and some attacks come with a hefty recovery time. All this comes together to give combat a sludge-like feel. We'll get amongst the weeds of combat later, along with how monitors turn themselves off and left inactive for too long. We'll get amongst the weeds of combat later, along with how beast forms are integrated. So, for now, let's get back to it. Not a good start, this. Not a good start. Well, that sucked. Oh my god, you can practically count the polygons. Maybe instead of a big fight where I'm being attacked by PS1 escapees, you make a smaller fight. It would be good for all involved. Of course, this is why they're so excited. They're after my polys. They're polyamorous. A brawler with so much green goo, it's like I'm playing Final Fight Streetwise all over again. I know we're not far in, but I'm going to say that that comparison was an insult to Streetwise. That was a slog. Where the fuck did you come from? She opens doors as toughly as she moves. So there's no headstone or any real damage. This is fucking great. Because you could say, Arebuckle, transform! Sure, but hypothetically, I could be here with no beast juice, so I'd have to lose health. Granted, I'm losing health regardless, so I guess the point is moot. I love healing being tied to random drops. It's great. Oh, for feck's sake. What should we do for these fights? Just throw a small army of the same enemy in a room. Encounter design! Why am I fighting a big rat? Ugh. Oh, and of course there's a second health bar. I mean, why would the boss fight be less of a slog than a regular fight? This is just consistent game design. It's commendable. It was just the same again. What was the a third? You know, this couldn't be a two-phaser if this is the second. The first two phases wear you down, leaving you susceptible to making horrible decisions in the third, thereby giving the boss the upper hand with surprise and the player just isn't sure how to deal with it. A masterwork of design. Even the deaths are dragged out. think he snorted it. Yep, that serves you right. Maybe now you'll learn to stop shoving things up your nose.
I assume you've already been debriefed on the situation in Forest Town. I need you to investigate the research facility and confirm the fate of Dr. Eric Jobs and his research team. Sorry, but you're on your own on this one. You're the only one who can survive in that genome mist.
Well, I guess we got the setup.
We haven't tested the effects of administering all the chips simultaneously, so don't get too trigger happy.
Wait, is this game going to end with us turning into a chimera? You don't set up triggering them simultaneously if you're not going to do something with it. What a mighty upgrade path this is. The Merman is fucking awful. It sucks so hard. It is a miserable, aggravating, piddly sack of shit. A pain in the arse to control on the horizontal and annoying as hell on the vertical. To ascend, you hold down X and touch nothing else. To descend the depths, you must release all control. There can be no stick movement for vertical change to take place, and descension also comes with a delay, as if the game needs to ask, but are you sure you want to go down now? Making an already hateful process more so. Attacks? A bubble! It's about as threatening as it sounds. Low damage, low fire rate, and minuscule tracking. Yes, you can upgrade the fire rate. In fact, that's all you can fucking do. But why would I spend the resources on this detritus and not the other more useful and more often needed forms? Yes, the Merman does have a special. A decoy projectile. Woo. Who thought this was a good idea? Who thought that this was a good idea? Just fuck off! Oh, it's the same again, but dry! What manner of cryptics is this? Can we close it up again? Yeah, whatever. Later, dickheads. Ah, shit. Who thought this was a good idea? This is the most irritatingly tedious game I've played in recent memory. Its very existence is patent. Right, let us dive into the deep end of the puddle that is the combat of Altered Beast 2005. We've been over the feel, but let's touch on the rest. Bare bones would be kind, bare minimum to label an action game is a bit harsh. A fitting follow-up to the original Altered Beast could be seen as kind or mean, depending on perspective. So let's go for that. In human form, combat is brain dead and optionless. You have your mash string, but he's still sucking, jumping axe kick, and a run and slide. Your mash attacks are stumpy, the axe kick has shallow forward travel, and is executed with such lethargy that enemies have a habit of simply moving aside. And the slide is a slide. Attacks are purely one-on-one, there is no real crowd control of any kind. Yes, you may collide with multiple enemies at times, but that's more happenstance than design, and given this game's assuredly thought-filled encounter design, this poses a problem. Imagine playing a Musto game where you could only attack the enemy directly in front. That is playing Altered Beast 2005 as a human. Well, I say that, but a Muso game's combat has more going on. Say, for instance, defensive capabilities. There are none. No block, no dodge, no parry, nothing. You are cast into the drab, tedious ocean without even a pair of overly tight goggles. A reinforcement of the brain dead mentality. A decent number of enemies can block though, so the developers were familiar with the concept, but apparently the player, at their most ill-equipped, shouldn't have won. You also can't break an enemy's block. You can punch and kick to your heart's content, and all that you will accomplish is nudging them about. Now, if you try to give them a fingering, the shock will overcome them, but they typically just throw it back up again. Don't believe that this only applies to pitiful humans, because a guard isn't a given for beasts either. One beast can block. Guard breaks, some may have certain attacks that'll do it, but you will have to unlock them. In the case of the werewolf, you have combo enters and the final unlock of your mash string. Based on the way that this game treats inputs, where acting on reaction is non-existent, there is no point planning for the triangle ender because who knows where things will be at that point. And on top of that, the mash enter is just better. Not only is it a guard break, but it's also a 360-degree slash. Why? Think. When I can mash and do everything at once. When you take the mash ender and place it with the rest of the werewolf's capabilities, the other forms are pointless. The werewolf is the fastest, has sweeping attacks, has an anti-air attack, admittedly clunky and at times miserable, but it has it, and the special attack is fast, has good range with half decent damage radius. As for the beast's overall combat effectiveness, they are obviously the ideal means of engagement. From power to group management, a lack of defensive measures is more tolerable when everything dies with minimal effort. There's nothing really to say, positive nor negative. Combat doesn't get interesting, just moves faster. But with a timer ever ticking, you'll be spending a lot of time as a human, and the game becomes glacial. Not in a good spot here. Hooray! We've avoided Death's Grasp. Now to run back and forth between enemies in the save point to refill the beast meter. Game design! Oh god, a Merman boss fight. This is so basic and boring, but not miserable. Yep, that was more a fight with the controls than anything else. Of course! The Aladale held the secrets of the werewolf. We can jump higher. Great. Oh yeah, now this is the good stuff. Standing on a small platform, trying to reach a smaller platform that you can go under with fixed camera perspective and controls where the concept of precision is a distant half-recalled dream. All while dealing with a finite resource that will eventually lead to our demise. Oh! So I need more beast juice, spend an eternity trying to hit something in order to regain some, and when I do, I'm back to where I started, meaning nothing was gained and I have to repeat the process. There's an allegory in here somewhere. Oh, look at you and your ability to block. Yep, it's another big group with one enemy type and progression blocking gassy gobshades. Yep. It's another big group with one enemy type and progression blocking gassy gobshades. Oh, for fuck's sake. Another water boss? Feckin' A! I don't know about you, but I regret everything. Same as last time. Thankfully trivial. Oh! Well, this is neat. Well, this is dumb. Of course there's a third bar. and now breathes snow and pisses icicles. What a boss. Dead from me or from the copious amounts of pissicles? Internal bleeding. It's no joke. That's your PSA for today.
Increased endurance, strength, and reactive transformation abilities. You've passed all the tests with flying colors. You are the ultimate genome cyborg! This chip contains the genetic information of a wolf. With it, you will be able to transform into something more than human.
With all this lore, they must be bold enough to have one hell of a story. I wonder when it'll start. The Wendigo is the big tough bastard of the game, with heavy strikes and grapples, featuring the most intricate of combat paths evident with its skill tree. Slow and powerful with an option for any situation, guard bypass and throws, AoEs, heavier strikes, a ranged attack and group management special. The only thing missing from Wendigo is the means to reliably deal with airborne enemies. From a gameplay style sense, Wendigo is my favourite form in the game. Unfortunately, the game it's in isn't favourable to it. Wendigo is a reactionary form. You perform a standard attack and then you have 3 choices. Each can be branched off into another attack. You choose the option best suited to the current circumstances and go from there. You throw out a lumbering punch, blocked, here comes the grab to put them in their place. Enemies pestering you in front, bam, drop kick. Enemies all around, there, breathing room. Combos for the current situation, the situation that you have to assume will occur because, again, combos have to be inputted immediately. Wendigo is my favourite form, but I stopped using Wendigo because the game wasn't built for it. And so I traded fun for effectiveness. Decoy! Decoy! Now if this isn't a thoughtfully constructed group of enemies, that I can't be fucking bothered to finish that. I am rapidly losing interest. These transformations suck. Like, where's the mangled appendages? The cracks and snapping of bones? 1 out of 5? Oh no. Oh, I can feel the time dilating tide of this interest seeping in. I don't know how much longer it's going to be until autopilot kicks in. 1 out of 7? Oh dear. Oh no. Brain is soaking in this interest and the levels don't show any signs of decreasing. We've talked controls, we've talked general gameplay, we've even talked combat. Mainly though, focusing on the early human form. So how's about however many hours deep that it is? For me, not for you. Hopefully. It is time for us to touch upon the beasts. So, what does it mean to go all titular, and how does it work? To be a little altered beast man is to have the means to actually deal with the encounters that the game unrelentingly and shamelessly throws at you. The glob mobs of fat, dense absorbers of time, energy, interest, and patience. To alter oneself to a beastly standard is to make the game progress to a less irritating pace. But all tolerable things come to a begrudging end, as sitting above is a diminishing green gauge of drudgery respite. Once depleted, you are not forced to be that diminutive man once more. Instead, it'll feast on your existence. But of course, you may be wondering, but Arebuckle, what if everything's dead when I'm all tuckered out and need to transform? Well, fear not, because the game will constantly respawn enemies to ensure that the beast juice flow eternal. Until they don't. And you will consume it through hand or by showing your true nature, as you crawl from the septic pit that ye dwell to ingurgitate like a hero-duo to foul solid seepings of the grotesque. The follow-up query will of course be, will beast form kill? Yes. So now, I welcome you to the flow of Altered Beast 2005. Juice up, run to the next fight. Or, when you finally learn the next mandatory fight, transform, fight, transform, juice up, next fight, transform, juice up, next fight. transform, fight, transform, juice, next, beast, fight, man. You know what would have improved this cycle to cognitive collapse? Making the beast meter recover over time whilst human. It's a little thing, but it would improve the overall pace, and you would be more willing to just switch to a beast form on a whim, and then you wouldn't need inconsistent respawning enemies. Like most of Altered Beast, Original 5, there were ideas, but just a real lack of thought was given to the details. Beast, fight, man. Oh. Yeah. Why is there a big cock in the middle of the road? Hello, Mr. Cock, how do you do? Yes. Yes. Sucking off a cock. Yes, I see it, you see it, we all see it. Oh dear, this one's seen a bit too much action. Great camera work. I can fully comprehend the threat. So, I'm fighting a big baby. Did they just give up on this one? A tad mind-numbing, but harmless, not too long, and the gimmick is at the very least a little novel. I'll take it. Wendigo, well, at least that makes sense. And what did baby teach us? With this game's targeting, I don't know how this is going to work. It's not. Well, it's going up, but you know, it probably would help if I could fucking see. This seems so dumb, it's probably correct. Oh, would you look at that? A set camera. Now to Wendigo. Oh, look at this dynamic gameplay. Oh, for God's sake, game. What? For fuck's sake! Why is this when this game tries to do something, it just crumbles? And now I'm out of bloody beast juice. Just die. Just fucking die. Why is the sea oh, God damn it! Now's the time when you decide to not spawn enemies, when it's fucking mandatory to be a beast. This is the fucking a game of smart decisions, this. A journey of continuous joy and discovery. Finally. I was wondering if I should even bother talking about this game's moment to moment. It's pretty damn evident. However, with this mall, the game has very kindly provided a succinct summary of the game's design. It doesn't feel succinct, but factually, it certainly is. You do as you see, walk through spaces vacant of ideas and interest, fight large groups of enemies constructed with all the thought of dumping the contents of your toy box onto the floor. Eventually, you'll come to realize that you can run past them until a psychic wall, mist wall, ghost wall, game design apathy wall impede your progress, and you must then hunt down these gassy gobshites to unblock your path. So now you run to the big blip on the map, ignoring everything else in sight until the requisite are no more. Then the marathon of disinterest resumes. Sometimes there are brief moments of what could be considered, though you may strain yourself attempting to do so, but it could be considered trying to do something. In the mall's case, one particular wall of defeatist design is maintained by some frogs. Stuck on the ceiling, as frogs are wont to do. And so, you must utilise your ice chucker to chuck ice at the adhesive amphibians. How much ice need an ice chuck of an ice chuck could chuck ice? Too much. Far too much. Because once the game decides to do something outside of the bounds of the torn off corner of a napkin this game was designed on, it all falls apart. In this case, the camera can't keep the frogs in view, the draw distance is short, and as previously mentioned, there is no lock-on. So you vaguely aim and hope for the best. Thankfully, the ice throw has a modicum of tracking, but that only means so much when the endeavour to get it to track was as irritatingly finicky as it is. Once you've been strung along far beyond where interest collapsed, but just shy of fully plummeted patience, you'll fight a boss. The boss will do a thing, and when you deplete its health bar, it will do a different a thing. Or it'll be the same as the first, but a bit faster. That's the game. That's pretty much the entirety of the game. Although I would be remiss if I didn't at least give mention of the level setup. Levels are tied together in a manner intended to convey a sense of place, with areas to come gated by some beastly key. And once we are bestowed with the next beast, we'll see something that I genuinely thought was pretty cool. To be honest, I appreciate this kind of thing, the hub-like structure. There is some facet of ambition here, and a brawler? Green Gooman hubs. Oh god, it is like Final Fight Streetwise. But where's the random, completely out of place ska?
Get that way! Welcome, everyone. I just want to personally thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to visit.
We are 3 hours in and we still don't have much of a story.
Very well then.
Yay! Ugh.
Ladies and gentlemen, when normal creatures inhale this genome mist, their cells rapidly mutate, and they become.
I love hearing the same conversation, but with different people.
Operate in the presence of this whatever mist. Ah, yes. They were developed with the assumption that they'd need to be able to withstand the genome mist.
Yay! Ugh. Yay! Ugh.
Unfortunately, not even genome cyborgs can withstand genome mist when in high enough concentrations.
Oh, for God's sake, this is the most pathetic creature. It's a good thing there's nobody around to put me out of my misery. Oh, there we go. There's not much to say about Garuda. Not much good neither. Garuda is effectively the Merman of the sky. The only difference is when it comes to combat. Unlike Merman, Garuda has 2 attacks, and neither suck as hard as the bubble. Its standard attack is a Homan shotgun blast of fellers. Let's go with that. Normally, this attack is fine, but at times finding the range can be finicky, and its spread Homan nature can lead to you hitting everything other than what you want to. And its special is a tornado that sucks all nearby enemies into it. Although with some uses, it feels like the enemies actively walk into it. Maybe it was easier to tell the enemies to simply walk towards it than have it actively suck them in. Whatever. The move is fine. It doesn't do large amounts of damage, but it works for crowd control. That's Garuda. Garuda exists. Huh. You know, this is actually kind of pretty. The sun's glow in the dense clouds, the peaks above mist, the apparent storm that resides below. It actually has a nice feeling of freedom. Well, this is unexpected. Is this an entry? Oh, so the bird treats the game as an overworld, like an airship in Final Fantasy. Neat.
You have grown strong. But next time shall be your last.
Wait, does this game have a rival character? Is the game starting to get interesting? Dare I say, engaging? No. Great. How do I refill my beast juice? Ugh. Seriously, why doesn't it just refill over time? I'm having a good time. Can't say this is the beast pairing that I was expecting. That's just the rat's attack, but green. Oh no, it's Spoot and PNGs. Wait, the webs were white and the cuts... Consistency! You know, this fight's fine. Well, the limited time to deal damage isn't great, especially with the flight controls, which are just tweak swimming controls, and also the part where the ads can get in the way of your shots is annoying. You know, maybe this fight isn't fine. Man here. Yeah, that makes sense. Hold, they love the held buttons for inputs, and yet it always feels like shit. And now with the power of diving, web be gone. Couldn't fly over or anything. Must be scared of heights. Now you might say, but Arebuckle, he was already flying. Ah, but you see, the obscene density of the mist gives this impression of a floor, so he's able to trick himself so that he can deal with his phobia. If they get the pole lower out of their arse, I will too.
I bet you've got a million questions for me.
Yes and no. I would, but I stopped caring 2 hours ago.
Project Altered Beast was an experiment funded by the Army and was kept secret from all but the top officials in Washington. The goal of the project was to create
no one cares. Give me a goddamn story, not lore.
Cyborg, as we call them. The result of the project is you. And another who was responsible for releasing the genome mist into the city. Brad. He is seeking the most powerful genome
Families, fucking motivation.
I hate to think about what he'd do if he got his hands on it. He'd be unstoppable.
Wait, I don't even know who you are.
My name is Anastasia. I used to work for Dr. Eric Jobs.
Oh, okay. Well, that was jarring. Wait, Anastasia was leaving and immediately cut to us. We're Anastasia! Or perhaps Anastasia is in our head, and that's how she somehow manages to get about. After all, she somehow made it past the wall at the start, which we know required a werewolf, and in spite of going ahead was somehow behind us and entered the building in front of us, but we never saw her open the door. Had she ever interacted with the world? No! Wait, no, she injected us. No! The injection was purely an illusion. The OG Xbox is the one that administered the solution. Aha! I've got it all figured out. Not bored into moronic ramblings in the slightest. And mine. Only the sexiest of locations for Altered Beast, 2005. When starting this, I had few expectations. Dull colour palette, dull military-esque protagonist. The attempt to science the beast stuff isn't a surprise, and by extension, nor is the crutch of masquerading crappy lore as story. Do you know what wasn't expected? Do you know why gruesome body horror came as a shock? This shit is rated 12. 12! Here you go, children. You go have happy fun. Sleep tight. Don't let the man with his eyes exploding out of his skull bite. Don't get me wrong, I love this shit. This is the best part of the game. The fact that they attempted to confront the process of transformation visually is fantastic. It's probably the only benefit of the stupidity of trying to rationalize it in story. If I actually played this when it came out, I probably would have developed a soft spot just because of these scenes. I was a lot more tolerable of brain-dead combat back then. I saw John Carpenter's The Thing when I was very young, and my takeaway from the mangled contortions wasn't fear, it was cool. So I probably would have gone through Altered Beast 2005 with glee to see the next transformation. I don't know why this was rated 12. It's 15 in Australia and 18 in Japan. I genuinely love this part of the game. I was going to talk about the tone or something here, but I got a bit carried away. It's largely bereft of interest. It's absolutely a tedious product of its time. The greyness, the straining to rationalise nonsense, the self-seriousness. Actually, speaking of the rationalisation, they never mentioned why gassy gobshites can create gassy gits, but you know, I guess let's not worry about that one. You may be wondering why this reboot of Altered Beast is the way it is. The answer may surprise you, and how unsurprising it is. This is a quote of Makoto Yoshida, the designer of the original Altered Beast and a supervisor of this reboot, taken from the making of Altered Beast 1988 by Mike Bevan of Retro Gamer in 2014. We really couldn't steer away from the violence aspect. The American marketing side was cheering us on, so we did it as best we could. So it's great that the American team apparently has such a heavy hand in this game in spite of never feckin' releasing it there. Now, that's not to say that, you know, without them, that we wouldn't have had something similar. It's not to say that the game suddenly would have been better. But, you know, just something to note. And so the only positive of this severe swinging tone is the transformations, which I guess mirrors the gameplay side of things quite nicely. I think we've reached the point where the concept of commentating over gameplay is becoming mentally elusive. I can't. I have to remind myself that I'm recording this. I just remembered. This is in part of then and now. Script Arebuckle. You can fucking summarize this shit. I'm done. Brain going bye-bye. We do the same old, getting old, stumble onto the set of Wipeout on a budget, and become nature's submersible to swim forth to another boss fight. Initially beginning as other underwater boss fights, awkward to control, awkward to confront, unreliable to land bubbly aggressions, but this will quickly become the worst water fight in the game. Why? Attacks with vague ranges and an extremely high damage grab. Pair this with the swimming's cumbersome lethargic nature, and you have misery. In short, it sucks. Well, that sucked. From the carcass comes obstacle destruction. Well, some obstacles I guess they didn't know yet when they wrote this. The passage is decouped, and the unfortunately standard fare resumes. Head deeper and take flight in a cramped environment that the camera was adequately prepared for. And once again find ourselves at a boss. This time, we're dry swimming. It's one of those unremarkable ones that just happens, which in this game is all you can hope for. First two phases are the same, and the third you should switch to Wendigo. As usual, ads get in the way, and aim is unreliable. Once the big fire bat is dealt with, we get a new form and lure. Brad is leaving somewhere, possibly with stuff, and is not keen on whoever we are giving orders. Pause this for a second. I legitimately don't know who we are, or if they said his name previously. And frankly, I don't care to look. Human disco balls turned animals do a fight. We lose and get that dumb scar. Brad leaves alongside that griffin we fought earlier, I think. I don't know. We're Minotaur now. Look, I'm not going to pretend even a little. You've seen the way things have gone. The collapse of gameplay curiosity and so on. I can't tell you much anymore. Here's what I have. The Minotaur is the only form with a block. Its attacks don't feel good. I didn't even really absorb its skill tree whenever I looked at it for this section. I've got nothing. This is just where we're at now. With dynamite in our path and flames at our disposal, we stand there like dipsticks, waiting for a meter to fill, whilst the one that allows us to even attempt such a feat drains. Game design. With booms boomed, we are immediately beset upon, and we thrust our way to freedom. At the entrance of the nuclear power plant, a single enemy is present, so that we may once again stand here like a dipstick, waiting for a meter to fill. More of the usual intolerable teeter and torturous tediums halt progression. With each gassy wall's dispersion, a pluck of what little will remains. Now for the boss with laziest design. It's a big cat with exposed muscle. It spews gas from his mouth for some reason. This fight sucks. A cram-spaced fly-in, an agile boss having to manage beast meter and keep an extra focus for random health drops. With the awkwardness of our surroundings and the controls, comes an over-reliance on Garuda's tornado, which leads to dumb damage as being near the climate-unconscious panther when it jumps, deals damage. An excruciatingly slow ordeal. With patience depleted, Phase 2, no longer stationary, now faster with giant jumping with no immediate sign of when to deal damage. It ends as expected. I'm done. Feck it! It's this or abandonment. Oh. Alright, we're back. Infinite health, beast, and special. Let's see this shit show to its conclusion. Right now, what am I supposed to do? There. See, here's the thing. The idea of bosses being a puzzle of sorts is fine, it's just that the game is set up in a way that it actively discourages experimentation. Another hold input. I love hold inputs where the tap input has to happen first. Good God, the delay. What the fuck is going? What's this? What dumb bullshit is this? Do we need the time? Do we need the time to run? There's no time in this run. Is this even the right? I'm fucking gonna go look. This makes no bloody sense. Well, it's not looking good. I'm sorry, made a big mistake. I fooled myself into thinking that this game was designed with thought. In games, with a modicum of thought behind them, when you teach the player something new, you tend to try and reinforce it with use. The cracked door to get in here, for example. Maybe don't follow that up with an obstacle that can be easily interpreted as another job from the newly acquired ability. You give the player the ability to run and immediately present them with a long straight hallway with a limited time to access progression. Did you think about this at all? Well, there's your problem. Again, this is a good idea. We have all these beats and they're putting in scenarios where we have to jump between them to solve little problems. It makes sense. But keep in mind, It's mandatory to jump from beast to beast in a game with finite resources. Oh, water. Like, just make it refill over time when human. You kill them in beast form to maintain it, and then in human form at your weakest it comes back over time. It might make human form not feel like a self-imposed punishment when having to manage the beast meter. God damn it, this game is frustrating. Speaking of frustrating, to drive my point home, look at what I had to do to get here, and now I have to fight underwater with the worst beast in the game to control and fight with. And you want me to deal with ads to manage a goddamn meter?
This is Dragon, the legendary beast of destruction. You shall not have it. Do you still feel the pain?
Sir, we can see your face. You don't have to overact.
Come, let me put you out of your misery.
I'm just going to thrust in your general direction like this, and you get hurt. It's your own fault. Phase 2 is oh, cowardice. I think we can all see what we have to do here. Alright, let's waddle over. Now let's do it again. Oh. Second course. Do this 3 times while sucking pipe drippings off the floor so you can actually do it. No remorse for cheating, believe you, feckin' me. This is the kind of dogshit game design that I have no patience for. When your game feels like it's had as much thought behind it as my current attack strategy and its mechanics, level design, and counter design, then we're just on a speed run to me dumping the game.
I now understand why it was you that was chosen.
Why did you release the genome mist?
Me? Have you not yet realized the truth?
No, because we have amnesia, and the game has had no plot to show me. Here's the plot I've got. The genome mist was unleashed. Brad did it. Wants a genome chip. Brad didn't do it. Anastasia did. There's the story. No details other than worthless rationalizations for beast forms. Characters? Nothing. Moment-to-moment purpose? What's that? But here's 5 different ways of telling you how transformations happen. Can you tell I don't want to be here anymore? Why not stop? Moronic, unfounded feelings of obligation, that's what.
Don't try to get up just yet. Your body hasn't recovered. I don't know if you remember, but you were mortally wounded in your last mission. We recovered your body and rebuilt you as the 3rd genome cyborg.
We know he's a fucking cyborg. Tell us something new, for God's sake, you worthless bastard.
Let me introduce you to another genome cyborg, Brad. And another, Anastasia.
Call me Anna. Nice to meet you.
Oh my god, great, big fucking revelation. Anastasia's cyborg too. Is that it? That's it. I'm a dragon. The dragon is slow. Its main attack feels bad. If you're cheating, just mash triangle and you'll win. That's the dragon. A slow ass dragon. Alright, we're doing this the rest of the game. Are we on the road to Silent Hill? Just getting swarmed by buff horsemen. Someone would be happy. Really? Wait, what am I doing? Here. Ah, shit, water. Fucking got me. So, the door in the center of the floor is locked via chrome plinths, which are dotted at each corner of the floor. I mean, why try anything creative now? Once again, look at this. Now imagine it with a meter ticking down. Fun. Huh. But you feckers. Well, the big one as well. No regrets. I'll be honest, I wasn't anticipating a return of an enemy from the original, but there you go. Isn't that lovely? Oh. Well, I guess we'll never know. The hell? Oh no. Oh, not that fucking rhino. Oh wait, I'm cheating. Hooray! This is it. This is the ultimate fight. We're just going to stand here and try to out-triangle each other. It's fucking great. You know, I should probably try something else. Oh, I found the secret. What? What? He welcomes it, desires it, yearns. He lives for the ball blizzard. The blissful death. Oh, he enjoyed that. Look at him. I'm assuming a beam. Here's the thing. This game, when you're cheating, specifically with Infinite Beast, it's more pleasant. Not good, but pleasant. It's still boring. But it's a lot like playing the original Altered Beast. It's just, the game just kind of happens.
Anna.
Looks like you got your memory back.
You're a genome cyborg.
Yes, same as you. I was the second one created, right after Brad. It's all because of you. Once you were developed, Brad and I were deemed unnecessary. Brad was the first genome cyborg to successfully undergo transformation. He had amazing combat prowess and showed the limitless potential of the entire project. The experiment then moved on to phase 2, the goal of which was to create a chimera-type genome cyborg. One that would combine the genomes of multiple beasts. That was me. But my system was flawed. Eric's interest
Who the hell's Eric?
lasted only for a short while. The project quickly moved on to the final phase. The creation of the ultimate genome cyborg who could freely control multiple genomes. That's when Eric became obsessed with you.
So did Eric get off light from the gas or what? You know what, it doesn't matter. It does not matter.
Hey Eric, he's obtained the dragon genome, just like you always dreamed about.
Dragon must analyze research.
All I had to do was release the genome mist, and I knew they'd send you. I knew you'd come. Well, I didn't think you'd have lost your memory, though. I may not be able to use genome chips like you, but I can absorb your DNA. With your power, I can become the ultimate genome cyborg that Eric has been
there's your
looking
motivation for all of us. Yep.
Eric, just you wait and see.
Yeah, just have the models go one to the other with no masking effects. We've all given up. Wait, she chucking heads? They are! Okay, it's alright. It's a callback to the boss in the original. Neat. Hey, Brad. Bye, Brad.
Your very existence has driven her mad. You do not know what it means to be cast aside.
And you do,
Forgotten.
both literally and metaphorically.
I knew you and Eric would destroy her, yet I could do nothing. With all my power, I was helpless to stop this.
Well, you could have said something.
You must kill Anastasia.
Yeah, that's the plan.
It's the only way.
Oh no, Brad! I didn't realize that we formed an emotional connection. My bad. Phase 2. Once again, remember, whilst I'm doing this, I'm supposed to be managing Beast Meter. Keep that in mind and notice the lack of everything. Granted, it could be purely because the ice breath suddenly puddles. Phase 4! Yay! Phase 5, thank God let it end. Why is it grey? Why is grey? Why grey? It's done! It's done! It's over! It's finished! We're finally! I don't know what you think you're doing, but I'm going to say you're wrong. And that's it. That's the game. That's the ending. Suitably flaccid and crap. This has been Altered Beast 2005. This has been a shit show. This has been the forgotten, then and now, and an unwanted return of Feckit. Let's wrap this disaster up. We've seen the known then and forgotten now. So it's time to compare. I hope this doesn't take too long.
Rise from your grave.
Huh?
Issued a statement that the military has quarantined Fort City for the strange mist surrounding the area.
Who are you?
You don't remember?
I need you to investigate the research facility and confirm the fate of Dr. Eric Jobs and his research team.
You have grown strong.
Project Altered Beast, the result of the project, is you, and another, who is responsible for releasing the genome mist, Brad. He is seeking the most powerful genome chip. My name is Anastasia. I used to work for Dr. Eric Jobs.
Why did you release the genome mist?
Me? Have you not yet realized the truth? You must stop Anastasia!
Let me introduce you to another genome cyborg, Brad, and another, Anastasia.
Once you were developed, Brad and I were deemed unnecessary. Brad was the first genome cyborg to successfully undergo transformation. The experiment then moved on to phase 2, the goal of which was to create a chimera-type genome cyborg. That was me. But my system was flawed. The creation of the ultimate genome cyborg who could freely control multiple genomes. That's when Eric became obsessed with you. All I had to do was release the genome mist, and I knew they'd send you. With your power, I can become the ultimate genome cyborg that Eric has been looking for.
Huh? An incredibly basic affair with 2 types of attacks and a jump button. No combos, strings, or anything of the sort. You do a punch and a kick. These attacks will change depending on form, but limitations on the already limited will occur. Your incredibly basic offense is met by incredibly basic opposition. They come in numerous forms, but all with identical tactics. A basic affair, with the potential for some depth depending on the form, but all of the potential stays untapped due to the clumsy, mushy, unreactive feel of combat and constant managing of meters, leaving experimentation the last thing on your mind. Antagonistic forces are passive masses, where attacks aren't so much dealt from bestial desire nor tactically opportune moments, but more from a timer ticking down. Simultaneously, progression and regression. As a human in the original, there were relatively more options. This contrasts with beast forms. The original beast only had 2 attacks unless you were the wolf, in which case you got an air variant of its second. Reboot, skill trees. Some of a selection of mash enders, some of practically nothing, and if you are the Wendigo, you have the most thoughtful fistons. It's a beast dedicated to reaction play, in a game where reaction isn't a reliable option. Of course, the road to beast is very different, from 3 power-ups to a meter. In the original, once a beast, always a beast, for the duration of the level. But in the reboot, transform at any time, but for a limited period, at the expense of your spirit meter at first, but then of your health. You need to manage spirit, so you bounce back and forth between human and beast, but the human form is so much more limited and at times miserable to fight with depending on who you are fighting. So you want to be a beast, but the spirit meter doesn't refill over time as human, so you need to take the time to refill it. This process turns the game into a slog. We went from a game where both man and beast were capable, to man feeling ill-equipped, beast mandatory for pleasantly paced progression, and the need to be laboriously managed. Take the self-imposed simplification of combat and beast management and you have a game that feels worse to play than the original. And that's before we get into the lack of targeting and consistent defensive measures in the reboot. The original was simple to a tedious fault, but it worked for what was being asked of it. The reboot has more going on, but design decisions, possible oversights and poor execution lead to a worse playing game overall. The auto-scroll propels you forward like a hand in the back through the local small-town fair of unenthusiastic, ill-equipped and or lackluster performers who ramble their way on screen and perform their role, barring the one over-enthusiastic performer who likely planned the event. What you see within the first few minutes is what you'll see to credit roll. Endless, drab, tedious seas of enemies populate the endless drab environments that you visit. As you take a mop to the sea, you must do so with caution, causing an already dreary process to become laboriously glacial. Attempts to simply bypass will eventually be scuppered by ethereal walls of forced engagement. These disapproving finger wagons proliferate to such a degree over the course of the game that it feels out of pure desperation to task the player. Briskly basic to basic drudgery. With its one-note gameplay and set pace, the original Altered Beast has an incredibly short lifetime when it comes to player engagement. But to its benefit, it also has a very short life. The reboot, in theory, has more than one note, but it devolves into no more than two. The first is mash and attack, the second is manage and meter. In this game, the brownest note of all. The reboot can wear you down faster than it takes to finish the original. When I first started the reboot, I thought I would take a break since I'd been playing for about an hour and a half. When I stopped recording, I saw that I was only playing for 40 minutes. In true time, the game is boring as sin. In perceived time, it's excruciating. If mainlined, it's likely going to take you over 7. I was done in under 6, but that's obviously just because cheats are involved. And they came in at the right time, because from that point on, it was like the game found the player's presence loathsome. Forced fight after forced fight with annoying bosses and capped off with a 5-phase fight. The idea of playing through any of that with meter management is such a repulsive prospect. With cheats, the reboot feels like the original. Constant, uninteresting forward progress. But it's also more than 10 times longer. The world and gameplay of Altered Beast may have expanded, but the tedious spirit remains. The reboot they tried to expand on the core concept, yet unbelievably, by the manner they chose to go about doing so, we ended up in a worse state than where we started. The reboot plays worse, has terrible design decisions, is dull to behold, and alters your perception of time in the negative. The only positive, the soul beacon, the quivering flame of a mangled match in the night, beast transformations. Not all of them. The Wendigo is especially flaccid, but regardless, the transformations. Ultimately, Altered Beast 2005 is a worse game than Altered Beast 1988, and so, of the 3 games in this franchise, Altered Beast 1988 is the best game of the series. And what a sad state of affairs that is. Well, there we go. What a ride we've been on. 3 different, yet 2 quite similar, video formats in one. But, before we part, we must return to the initial question. The initiator of this quest. Is Altered Beast 2005 worth remembering? And so, wherever you are, wherever you may be, may you have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, or indeed night. Thank you for watching. I'm going to do anything other than think about Altered Beast. Any of them. Goodbye.
Welcome to your doom.
Genome.
mist. Genome cyborg. Genome mist. Genome cyborgs, whatever mist. Genome mist. Genome cyborgs. Genome mist.
Genetic cyborg, genome cyborg, genome mist, genome chip.
Genome chips.
Genome cyborg.
Genome cyborg?
Genome chip. Genome cyborg.
Genome mist. Genome cyborg.
Genome cyborg to genome cyborg. Genome cyborg, genome mist, genome chips, genome cyborg that Eric has been looking for.
Through hand or by showing your true nature as you crawl through the septic pit that you Wow, that's a fucking awkward sentence. Through hand or by showing your true nature as you crawl from the septic pit that you dwell to ingurgitate like a hero duel. Through hand or by showing your true nature as you crawl from the septic pit that you dwell to ingurgitate like a hero duel to shit. As you crawl from the septic pit that you dwell to ingurgitate like a hero duel to foul solid seepings of the grotesque. The grotesque. I don't want to say grotesque.